Just give everybody a minute on that. And it looks like most of us are here, caffeinated and optimistically functional. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for your participation. Yes. Okay. All right. So with that, we are going to talk about several different things. For those of you that have just joined, if you haven't had a chance to rename yourself, just hover over your box on the screen, click the three dots, and please add your club role and your club name to your title, if you would. Please keep yourselves on mute. Please do, if you're not speaking, please do turn on your camera if you're able. I know in some cases the computers aren't cooperating with us this morning, so please do turn on your camera though if it's functioning. And then we'll jump into the material. And the first thing we'll do is hear from District Governor-elect Jeff Weinrach. Then we'll talk about the function of a Rotary Club board. And from there, we'll go into breakouts, as you can see on the screen. And a big thank you in advance to all of my facilitators and experts that are here today. They're going to facilitate those rooms. And then finally, I'll ask everybody to come back to the main room at 11:15. And we will wrap up, talk about reflections, and I'll have a survey for you then. Okay, so let me just do one thing. All right, so with that, turn it over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jen. And for those of you who know me, this is not early. This is my lunchtime. So, but that is me. It's great to see you all on a Saturday. Thank you all for coming. This is such an important learning event that Jen organized. Boards are so important. Some of you may be serving on boards now, club boards, or you may have served on boards in the past. But we just want to thank you for serving again this upcoming year. And as I was reviewing the materials for today, it struck me that a lot of what we're going to be covering is what we cover when we do the Be a Vibrant Club workshops. I don't know how many of you had a chance to take those. They will likely be offered again this upcoming year. And there's just things to consider for a healthy Rotary Club. And the board is just critical to making that happen. And everyone has a role. You may have an individual role. Maybe you're the club secretary or the club membership chair. But as a member of the board as a group has things that it needs to carry out for the sake of the club and the membership. So again, we just want to thank you all for participating. We want this to be an engagement. We want question and answer and discussion. We learn from each other. So we appreciate your time this morning. The only other thing I did want to mention real quickly, and I mentioned this at the President-elect Learning, I do a lot of corporate training for my work, and one of the things we talk about with boards is this balance of what we would call it running the business and growing the business. And while we're not a business per se, that notion of kind of operational management and making sure that the club is functioning, that it's handling its responsibilities, it's taking care of its paperwork, all of that, but also that strategic role of where's the club moving and what's the direction and what are we trying to accomplish. The board, in a sense, has a balance of both of those roles. And so I think we'll cover quite a bit of that today. And as always, after today, if you have any questions or items that you want to discuss, please reach out. We want to make sure that we are working with you, that we are collaborating with you, and that we are learning from each other. So thank you all again. Jan, I'll turn it back to you.
I just have to read.
Thank you, Jeff. And we've got,
all right.
And if we could just go on mute, that would be very helpful. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. And now our first topic, the function of the club board. So let's imagine a few real world scenarios. A member is accused of misconduct. Your club wants to change a long-standing meeting format. You're considering terminating a member. one of your board decisions were challenged. These kinds of situations can get complicated pretty fast. And so without a clear process, boards can freeze or overreact or act inconsistently. And that can erode trust inside your club and even spill out into the public in some cases, depending on the situation. So a strong board doesn't eliminate tough situations, but it does give you a roadmap for handling them with confidence. Now let's shift to more everyday challenges. Are deadlines slipping within your club? Are your projects stalling? Are members quietly drifting away? I think a lot of our clubs are experiencing that. These aren't signs of failure exactly, they're signals. They tell us where the board may need to tighten up communication, their planning, or their follow through. So think about your own club. Which of these feels familiar to you? Okay, and you can feel free to put that in the chat if there's anything, or if you if you prefer not to and you'd like to keep that to yourself, that's okay too. But feel free to share because I think we're all having similar challenges. A board just isn't a formality. It can be an engine that helps keep the club moving forward, or it can stall you in the water. When a club is functioning well, the board, or rather the club, feels focused, organized, and energized. And when it's not, everything can feel reactive and chaotic. Your board is your club's compass, its safety net, and its long-term memory. So who's on the board? Rotary recommends a core set of officers: president, president-elect, immediate past president, secretary, and treasurer. Each member of the board carries an important responsibility. The president sets the direction, the president-elect prepares to lead, the secretary keeps the club's records up to date, and the treasurer protects your financial integrity. Your bylaws for your club may be customized and they might include additional roles, but just make sure they're clearly defined. And at the end of this section, we'll talk about resources available for you, including those provided by Rotary International. If we boil the purpose of the club board to 6 essentials, here they are: strategic leadership, financial oversight, operational management, membership engagement, officer support, and governance. When even one of these areas is weak, the whole club can feel it. Oh. Strengthen all 6. Looks like we have some echoes. Hold on one second.
It's Martha.
Okay, let me just see. Oh, looks like taken care of. Are we okay? Great. Okay, so when even one of those areas is weak, the whole club can feel it. And if you strengthen all 6, your club becomes more resilient, more vibrant, and more fun. So let's talk about a little bit about each of these areas. Strategic leadership is about more than setting goals. It's about setting meaningful goals. And don't let this be scary. I think a lot of clubs hesitate to set their goals because they're worried it's going to be, a lot of work, or they have to set so many goals it's difficult to track. It doesn't have to be like writing a thesis or trying to put a person on the moon. You can make them simple and doable and motivating, but you want to make sure you're doing what your members want to do. So some things to think about. What does your community need right now? What excites your members? Are you leading with intention or simply repeating what's always been done? And just a reminder, yes, electing your officers by December 31st does matter. It gives your incoming leaders time to prepare, aligns with Rotary timelines, and ensures smooth transitions. And since I've been talking for a little bit and setting goals is such an important thing for our district, I just want to open it up. And if you can use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, if there's anybody that wants to talk about goals, like anything, is their club setting their goals, feeling pretty good about it, or do you have concerns? Anybody willing to share on that topic at this point? Okay, Donna, go ahead. Thank you. Hopefully you can unmute.
Donna, you're muted.
Thank you. I apologize. I just wanted to share that yesterday I had a really good meeting with Harold and Jan, and he helped me see a much, much simpler way through the goal setting, and how my expectations were quite different than what the club really needs to do. So um, I think the goals is something that we can all work on in a more creative way than I was thinking of.
Yeah, I really like that a lot too. And maybe I'll ask Harold to come off mute. So when he presented, he walked Donna and I through, because he was helping Donna as an incoming AG, and thank you for being an incoming AG, Donna. He was walking us through all the many, many reports that are available because he's running them every month and he's become somewhat of an expert. And when he was talking through the goals, I even took that away, Donna. I was like, oh, 26 goals that are in the system. It seems like a lot. But when Harold talked through what those goals are, they actually aren't so intimidating. So Harold, if you want to just talk a little bit about that really quickly.
Yeah, I think the key for the club goals is really just to look at the definitions, read and understand those a bit better than just looking at the goal itself. Read the definition. They're not as difficult as it seems on the surface. So dig into them a little bit and have some fun with it.
Thanks, Harold. Anybody else with any thoughts on goals? Again, feel free to use that button at the bottom to raise your hand. Okay, no problem. Keep charging ahead.
I'm looking for the hand.
Oh, well, you can go ahead.
I wasn't quite ready. I thought we'd probably see some goals that have been set for clubs, but I'm sorry to interrupt without raising my hand. I just didn't see where to raise the hand.
That's okay, Steve. We want everybody to participate. If you can use the hand raise, it helps keep us organized. If we have people fighting for the top, we don't.
I understand. And that's why I was really looking for the hand.
It's in the reactions. It's in the reactions. It's one of the options in reactions.
Thanks, Donna. But was there anything you wanted to say about goals, Steve?
Well, the only thing I was going to say about goals, I understand the importance of goals, but sometimes you don't always have it in your head. I love to plagiarize other people's stuff. And so I was thinking maybe examples of goals of clubs to be sent to me or to put on the screen.
Gotcha. Well, if you go, so I didn't put it in the deck and I should have, but if you go into Rotary Club Central where you set your goals, Rotary International gives you 26 options to choose from, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe it's 26. And so they kind of walk you through what all of them can be, and your club can choose the ones that are meaningful to them. And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm remembering now that I saw that when I went through that learning process, but I forgot, where did you say they are? In
Rotary Club Central. So if you go to myrotary.org, I think it's in a couple places off the top of my head. I think it might be under knowledge and resources, for example, but it's definitely under one of those tabs.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
And Richard has his hand up, and I put the goals handout in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Laura. Richard, go ahead.
Well, I wanted
Dan, I'm sorry. I can't find where you have to raise your hand. I don't have it at the bottom of my screen here.
There should be a reactions button at the bottom.
A what button?
Reactions. Or react.
I got participant chat, react, share.
Yeah, react. React is the one. So, yep.
That should be raise your hand. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Go ahead, Richard, and we'll go to
I don't have anything.
Betty next.
I'm gonna give people permission to be at C because we're at C. Every one of the warning signs you brought up, I feel in our club, we miss deadlines, we may be losing members, or we basically just get everything done just in time. I pretty much signed up to be president because I was worried the club was just going to die. And so my goal is for the club not to die. So we really only have two goals, which is membership and communication. And that's the only thing we can manage right now, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think that's a common challenge. Like a lot of clubs do feel overwhelmed right now. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your AG, reach out to any district leader. We have the strategic cadre. Maybe Laura, if you want to say a couple words on that as well.
Sure. The strategic cadre is available. If you reach out and let us know that you would like some help, some of us to come over to perhaps a meeting and do a strategic planning meeting with you. Also, your area councils of presidents are going to be great resources. Jerry and I were just talking yesterday for the North Area of Councils, and we're going to be having a meeting on the 25th where we're going to be talking about co-presidency, because we have a lot of clubs that are feeling exactly the way you described, Richard, and she wants to show that that can be a sustainable and a less stressful way to have a smaller club keep moving forward.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Laura.
Laura. Yes. Woohoo.
And I'll just say, I have a bit of a theory. Like, I don't know, I keep testing it out. With everything in our world today, like the news coming at us and cell phones constantly distracting us, I think with clubs, if you focus on taking care of your members, taking care of each other first, and talk to each other about what you want to do and kind of focus on that family aspect, a lot of other things can come from it. Like then you can build your team to do strategic planning and build your team to do more goals. So I would just encourage everybody, just think about your own club as a family and how you can take care of each other. And everything that comes with a family comes with a club too. Like you fight with family members. I mean, hopefully you're not fighting, but it's not perfect all the time. But do try to think about your club as bonding and coming together, and a lot of these other things I think will flow from that. All right, I'm just going to keep us moving along, but thank you so much for all your
Jen,
input on that. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to throw out is a key word here when we think about goals and setting new goals. I think the key word to remember is maintenance. Some goals, some things are ongoing with your club, but they change on the other end. Our club started a relationship with a facility that deals with mental health issues here in Santa Fe, and we've done things like help cultivate their grounds, like almost in the picture. And we've done through recycling, got a couple of park benches put in there for their customers and families to be able to utilize while people are inside the facility. And also the needs of the organization change as well from time to time. We'll work on trenches, maybe on other things about the grounds, but those things change that give your club new goals to be aware of. And the same goes for a park that we're maintaining. We participate in maintaining one of the city parks in Santa Fe, and the needs there change, and administrations come and go, and it takes a little bit of doing to get that going, as well as other thing is some of our youth programs. I'm New Gen Chair, and we're in the process of reviving an Interact club that had to sort of like go a separate way during COVID. During COVID, essentially the club was lost. And so it takes some doing to get it back online, and we look forward to doing that this coming year. So sometimes the things on the other end give your club the chores to do, and it's just a matter of playing catch up.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point, Alvin. Thank you so much. Okay. So the next topic is another important one that the board is responsible for, and that's financial oversight. And it's often overlooked. Approving your budget is just the beginning. You really do need to monitor your spending as well. I mean, especially if you think about it, folks are perhaps donating to your club through your fundraisers. They want to make sure you're using those funds the way they were intending, right? So it's really important for us to be responsible for how those funds are used. Are how we're using the funds, is it matching what we're publishing in the community and what we're telling people we're doing? You also need to make sure your legal filings are complete. Like, for example, for most clubs, it's the IRS 990. For other clubs or foundations, it can be a slightly more complicated form, but you need to make sure that's done. And that financial transparency builds trust with the community, so it'll keep them coming back and donating to you. And just a quick note, this is breaking news from Governor Tom Simon yesterday. He shared the following. So I'll just read his note here. It came to my attention recently that at least one club in our district has not processed a club tax return for the past 3 years, which puts them at risk of having their tax status revoked. Angela Lopez, the supervisor of membership growth and experience, told me this is alarmingly common and recommended that district leadership establish a system for checking club tax filing status annually. And a solution for this is in the works for our district. But meanwhile, he says, please advise club leadership of this issue and encourage them to check the status of their club. And if you have a foundation, you should also check that separately as well. So everybody will get these slides at the end of the presentation. So you can go here to this link and check your status. I haven't used this tool recently. Perhaps others, maybe Reg or others have. So if there are questions, we'll try to figure out how to get those answered for you. But we should all be making sure that we're filing our tax documents. Any quick questions or comments on that one? Okay, great. Pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, so another function of the board is
Dan,
operation.
excuse
Yeah,
me for
please.
interrupting. There
Oh,
are
no,
two,
no.
Tom Walker and Betty Young.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. Tom, go ahead.
Just a reminder, there is supposed to be an annual financial report to the club, and the recommended bylaws, and it's also in the RI bylaws, is there is basically a first half, second half report that's due by January 31. So a lot of clubs may not do that, but it's a good thing to let the club know where you are financially.
Agreed. Great point, Tom. Thank you. Betty?
Club president, I am on 3 nonprofit boards. It is very common that you do not have enough people or anybody that understand financial statement. Make sure that you get qualified people who understand financial statement so they can inform you how you're doing as an organization. That's why a lot of these nonprofits are going down the tube. That's very important, unfortunately. Yeah. And they haven't filed their form. That's very common.
Agreed. Thanks, Betty. Good comment. All right. So operational management is where your strategy becomes action. So are your projects coordinated? Are your committees supported? Are the responsibilities clear? So when that execution breaks down, it's almost always a sign that your board needs to tighten its communication or its structure. So do make sure you're having your board meetings, you're talking about all the things that your club is working on and just touching on where those things are at and making sure they're supported. And Willis is going to get into this in more detail in his breakout, but just for those of us that won't be able to attend his breakouts, will be in other ones. It's really important, kind of what I was saying earlier. Oh, just got someone that we need to put on mute. 1 second. Okay, looks like we're okay. So a thriving club starts with belonging. So the board sets the tone. Are your meetings welcoming? Are members invited to meaningful roles? Are you listening to what they want? Recruitment matters, but retention is where your culture really shows. And I think that's something that we all want to work on. We want to keep the members that are joining us, keep them involved in their passions. And this engagement is really where the board has a responsibility as well. Next is supporting your club officers. They can only succeed if they know what's expected of them and they have the tools to do the job. So make sure you're checking in with each other. Share resources, mentor future leaders so that you have a sustainable bench of leaders upcoming. A supported officer becomes a confident leader, and that confidence ripples across the club. Governance and compliance protects your club legally, ethically, and operationally. As I mentioned before, you want to make sure you're holding your board meetings. You want to file your minutes in an agreed upon location, elect your officers on time so that they can be prepared for the upcoming year, and definitely follow your youth protection and anti-harassment policies. And when governance is ignored, that's when problems can escalate, and it can go all the way to the district leadership or even RI, depending on the situation. So you definitely don't want that to happen. I do want to make a quick note on insurance. I am not an expert on our Rotary insurance policy, but I can say this. It's intended to cover most of our quote unquote normal activities like meetings, basic fundraisers, hands-on volunteering, but it does not cover everything. So some examples that it doesn't cover, and they're either excluded or they need their own separate insurance, would be aircraft related activities, fireworks, construction type projects, anything where the liability is much higher. It also excludes large or unusually hazardous events and anything the policy specifically calls out that's not covered. So if it feels out of the ordinary or a little bit risky, it's worth checking in the portal, and this link will take you to that portal and to resources to discuss your event and what kind of coverage you need. It's also worth it getting your certificate of insurance ahead of an event, especially if you have alcohol, because there are rules about that, or your venue requires your certificate of insurance or asks to be listed as also insured. So my disclaimer here is please check the portal linked in this slide before you have an event, just to make sure you're covered. Any additional comments on insurance? Yep, Donna. You may be on mute again. Okay, we'll come back to you, Donna. Anybody else with questions or comments on insurance?
I apologize. I forgot I was muted. Is there anyone in the district who is sort of the insurance guru if there is a question after checking, but we still have a question and need more clarification?
I'll let go ahead, Chris. Yeah, Christopher.
This is, and if you have questions, just email me and I'll research it for you and get back to you.
Oh, thank you.
And there are two other things that I would mention on insurance. There is no auto coverage. So if your event or what you're doing has something to do with driving people around or something, get with me and we can figure out how to do that. That's not covered. And the other thing is financial coverage. There's nothing for your monies for your club. So if monies go missing, that's not in the insurance contract. You can buy some coverage for that. It's very inexpensive, but there's no coverage for your financial event monies for you.
Funds, yeah.
All right, Kit, on that regard, my other boards that I'm on, we all do have a special financial writer for the board. I don't think we have that in my current club, but is that something that is recommended?
Your directors and officers coverage is included in the RI coverage. I could give you specifics on that. So that's not necessary, but we can look through that and see if there's anything that you need extra allowance for. But yeah, it covers your Rotary Club, what they're doing in most events, and then your board and your directors and officers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So a question, you'd said that if we're going to have alcohol like at a officer induction and we're going to have a dinner with alcohol, we need to make sure we have coverage on our insurance for the alcohol, right?
Maybe Kit. Yeah, I was gonna say, Kit, if you want to speak to that, because what I saw was Rotary prefers, like for my club, we do a wine tasting. So Rotary prefers that you have someone that's licensed serving the alcohol. But so that's why I wanted to mention that in there, because I think wine tastings are kind of common. But that, Kit, please comment further.
Yeah, if you're selling the alcohol and profiting off of that, that's not going to be covered. But if you're just providing it as a host, then you will have some coverage in place. But if you could describe the event, and I can do some research for you and make sure you've got coverage under the Rotary program, or you need to buy an event policy for that event.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yep. Thank you, Kit.
Thank you.
Okay. So the takeaway from that discussion is Kit is a great resource. Thank you so much, Kit, for speaking to that. And then also the portal with Hylant is linked here, and there's resources in there also. So both are good. Both are available. So what you're seeing on the screen, these aren't hypotheticals. These are real situations in our district that have happened. We have had clubs that didn't monitor their dues and they lost financial stability. That's several clubs. Clubs that didn't verify their IRS filings faced massive potential penalties. Clubs scheduled events without board approval, and they may have been operating without insurance because it was, like we talked about, a slightly riskier event. So these are all things that you want to consider, and they're not meant to scare you. They're meant to show how preventable these issues are when you have an engaged board thinking ahead. Okay. And maybe here, Michelle, if you want to just talk about your role a little bit. Sorry to put you on the spot. We didn't talk about this in advance, but it just made me realize this might be the time.
Unfortunately, I think my video is not functioning right now, so I'll apologize for that. The goal of the new risk management committee that'll start on July 1st is to package up these kinds of concerns into frameworks that can be addressed by the district. So the risk management committee will be composed of 5 of us. There are 4 other committee members. Kit Turpin, as a matter of fact, just joined us in the last 48 hours. Woohoo! Thank you, Kit.
Thanks, Kit.
So the 5 of us will be talking about explicitly these sorts of concerns. The larger photograph of how can we prevent difficulties for you by giving you frameworks of guidance, and by encouraging our district governor and leadership in the district to maybe adopt future procedures that would really help to avoid risk across the district, not only for youth programs, but for all of these other kinds of questions, which is what are the kinds of checklists we could even give a club as a risk management framework so that they could double check these kinds of things as they work through their goals and their activities. So I'm hoping that this will be a new adventure, and how we do it still hasn't been determined, but thanks, Jen, for the opportunity.
No problem. And another key area of focus for risk, which you see back here, a lot of youth involvement in our clubs. And you want to make sure youth protection in particular is really an area of focus of potential risk. And we have Dick Jones as our youth protection officer as a resource as well. So just want to highlight that since so many clubs are doing things with youth. Any questions about risk or anything we've discussed so far? Since you all are being very cooperative and not rushing to the mic, you can raise your hand or just speak up if you prefer. No? Okay, no problem. Great. So the takeaway is pretty simple. Boards must be active, communicative, and accountable. And problems rarely fix themselves. Ignoring them, sadly, does not make them go away most of the time. So leadership means stepping in early, documenting your decisions, and keeping the club aligned with Rotary standards. And I did promise some resources, so you are not expected to know everything, but hopefully we can show you where to look and who to talk to. So everybody you heard speak today is a resource, like Michelle, like Kit, the other district leaders that I mentioned. You can talk to any of them. Your assistant governor is a good place to start. But we do also have a link in the STEC to the RI governance documents, which are the club bylaws and constitution. And you should be at least looking at your bylaws every year and making sure it matches what you're doing in your club. And there's example bylaws at this link. And then your constitution, you want to make sure that's up to date as well. You want to look at your own club's constitution and bylaws to see what's been customized in there in the past. My Rotary is a huge resource, and the Rotary Learning Center is located on myrotary.org. So, and I found in a lot of cases, so it looks like, according to the reports, about half of our Rotarians in our district have access to My Rotary, which means that half don't. And you may even have a limited access account, an external account. But if you can get a Rotarian account, there's a lot more information available to you. So if you have any questions about My Rotary access, please reach out to me or your AG or any district leader. Your district committees and leaders for finance, membership, service, and more, they're all resources for you, and the breakout leaders that you'll hear from today. And then there's a link to the insurance info, the portal, the Highland portal on rotary5520.org. And we also mentioned, and Kit volunteered as a resource as well. So thank you, Kit. And I'll just show you quickly on our rotary5520.org district website. If you want to find district leaders by role, you would go to the resources tab, and then the first link there is the org chart, and you can go through there to find any leader in the district by topic or your assistant governor, so you have a place to start with who to ask. So just finally on club function, the board is the club's backbone. When it's strong, your club can dream bigger, serve better, and grow deeper roots in the community. And your leadership matters, not just for this year, but for the years that follow, and you are not doing it alone. I've also put together this one pager that I'll send out. It's in the deck, but it'll also be separate, and it has links to most of the resources we talked about, an overview of the board's responsibilities. So if you don't want to have my whole 30-slide deck with you at all times, you can have this one pager, and I will link today's training. We'll put it on YouTube, and it'll be linked on this one pager as well. Okay, so we are a little bit ahead of schedule. Any questions on anything we've covered so far?
Jen, this is George Greenlee. Another document that I think that helps keeps a board on track is the master calendar. Could you touch on that?
Yes, thank you, George. So, and I'll link that actually on this one pager. I could try to navigate to it right now, but I feel like it's probably going to be messy because I have my windows settled, George. So I'm not going to bring it up right now, but it is on rotary5520.org. The master calendar, Sunny Kellerman started that. Thank you, Sunny. And it goes month by month of all the things you should be thinking about for that given month, including when you should file your 990 or other financial documents, when you should get your officers updated. Maybe Sunny, if you want to speak on that a little bit.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone. What I would say is it may not be totally complete because things do change, but we're keeping it updated. And it does cover not only the legal requirements, but also things to think about in terms of the avenues of service. So, for example, once the new year starts, it's not too soon to start thinking about who you would send to the International Project Fair. And you want to make sure in the spring that your 2 people attend the grants management training, things like that. Take a look at it. I put it together 5-6 years ago, and it still seems to be useful. Any questions?
And I decided to risk it. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. I brought it up.
What was that under?
That was under resources.
Okay.
It's the monthly calendar for clubs.
I had a question. I actually had thought that monthly a master calendar was for a club, which I think in our club would be very useful to see what we have chart planned out for events and volunteer stuff and all that, because it sometimes feels like we're kind of chasing the calendar, trying to catch up with it.
Yeah, so you're saying, Jerry, it might be useful for your board to like lay out for the year what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we don't have to think so much.
Agreed. That's always a good practice. Richard, please go ahead.
The monthly club calendar is great. I'm going to grab that. You were talking about importance of understanding financial statements. We're really good at tracking our members who don't pay dues, and we got that worked out. But not every board meeting we look at the financial statement and we never understand it, and then the meeting ends, and that's that. And we don't want to fire our treasurer because we need a treasurer. Um, but maybe there are some reference documents like this is what the financial statement should look like every month. And maybe we could give it to him and tell him, would you please make it look like this? Because like we can never see the money we raised or how we raised it, or we don't think there's any problem, but we don't really we can't understand the statements.
Got it. Reg, can I put you on the spot? Is there anything you'd suggest there? Are there resources available for the treasurer?
No, to be honest, I've served on a number of boards, and this is my big bugaboo. I'm an engineer, not a CPA, and I have the same problem that Richard does. That understanding the financial statements, they can be completely Greek. One of the boards I was on had a very simplified version of it, and it was a one pager of showing where we were against the budget, plus or minus against the budget, and basically a balance at the bottom. And it opened the door to a lot of people to understand what we were actually doing.
Great. Thanks, Reg. And Sunny, I see you have your hand raised.
I just wanted to mention, Jen, that there is an organization, I just tried to lower my hand and got lost, an organization called Board Source, which has a publication on understanding financial statements. It's pretty useful. And I'm sure there are other things that we could look at. Perhaps that one of our district priorities could be to create some kind of template that people could use for a club.
Wonderful.
That would be great. Even if we all had the same statements, right? Because I don't think they should vary that much, right? We're all nonprofits doing the same thing. Yeah, that'd
Right.
be really, really good.
Technically clubs aren't nonprofits, they're 501c4s, but the idea is the same. What we're tracking is very similar.
Other questions, concerns? Thank you, Laura, for putting that in
I
the chat.
have just one follow-up. It might be really important to think about your approach to the question with how can we sit together and do this as a team, because if the
I don't know if it's just me, but
this is what the district says we have.
I was just gonna say you're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Maybe put it in the chat, Michelle.
That'd be great. Sorry about that, Michelle. But yeah, if you can put what you were trying to share in the chat, that would be ideal.
This is Donna, and I think a suggested template from the district would be so helpful, particularly to the smaller clubs where the treasurers may or may not have much bookkeeping or accounting experience. I think a template would be wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? And it can be on any topic we've covered around the board function at any point in this 45 minutes. Okay, well, feel free to reach out to your assistant governor, as I mentioned, and any district leader, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction if you're missing something. And I'm just going to share Michelle put her comment in the chat, how to win friends and influence people to get the person on board in the idea first. Team idea, get it done together. Yeah, definitely want to get that input. Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm going to open the breakout rooms. Yes. So I'll open the breakout rooms and you should be able to choose your breakout room from the ones that are available. And the groups that we have are here. So if your club role or you're most interested in the secretary role, please join that room. Treasurers, public image, etc.